Hello, welcome to Module 6 in PA 460. And this module is Welfare, Social Security, and Education Policy. So we will go to the overview first, and you will see we have the Part 1, Welfare and Social Security, that corresponds with Chapter 9 in the textbook. We have a couple of videos there. We have Part 2, Education Policy, and I have a lecture there as well as another video. For discussion 6, we have PBS Frontline Separate and Unequal. And then you have your group project 2, and that's the Policy Alternatives worksheet, which I'll go over in a second. And then, of course, your reading quiz 5, chapters 9 and 10. So as you see, part 1, we have videos to watch, graphs. Some of the graphs are from the textbook, some are not. We do have a video here. For some reason, it wouldn't allow me to embed. So you just have to click that link. I don't know why, but it just doesn't. And then we go to part 2, education policy. Here is my lecture on education policy. That's one of the fields of research that I work in. And you will see the summary as well as another video here, which actually breaks down why college is so expensive fairly well. And then history of the program and history of the policies therein for education. And then we get to discussion. Same issue here. For some reason, it didn't allow me to embed. I don't know why, but just click on this and it should take you to Frontline Separate and Unequal. You may have to hit, it'll ask you, is whatever San Diego PBS, KPBS your station, you just say yes. And then you can watch that. And remember to answer, post your answer, and then you'll see everyone else's post, and then to respond to another student so that you get maximum points. And here is your group project 2. So it's your second worksheet. It's the Policy Alternatives worksheet. And I'll show you the example here. So we're taking the societal issue. This is from the problem statement worksheet. And make sure to review my graded version of your worksheet, which I will get back to the group fairly quickly. I know most of you are not in a group, you're by yourself, you're a solo group, but that's okay. But make sure to read my comments. I asked for it in Microsoft Word so that you can see the different review and comments and such. So make those changes before you look at this document. Make sure that the Policy Alternatives worksheet has those suggested changes and addresses some of the comments from your problem statement worksheet. So here we have, the question is to find some sources. So most of you, if you're working by yourself, 2 to 3 is fine for policy alternatives. If we have one group with 4 people, I would expect 4, so have policy alternative 1. Then you have There Is a Better Way program. This is the video we saw. This is just the example. And you have a breakdown of what it is, and usually breaking it down by output, so the different services. So in the case of There Is a Better Way, you have a day worker program with VAN, and then I want you to put next to it the different instruments of public policy. Make sure to use the list from the 10 that I've given you for this course. Some of you were going outside of the vernacular, and I want to make sure that you know those 10 as I've set it up for the course. Different disciplines and courses, they'll have different names for things, but I just want everyone to be on the same page. So for the day worker program with VAN, you have market mechanism, subsidies, government management. The second output or service, and There's a Better Way than Albuquerque, is intake and referral program for healthcare and housing services. So this is information, education, and research, government management. And then you have the public-private partnership because they're working with St. Martin's. And again, a public-private partnership can be with a nonprofit as well as a for-profit private company. 3, job skills training program, and that's information, education, research, public-private partnership. Sorry. And then you have 4 short-term and long-term housing program, and that's information, education, research, and public-private partnership, because it was working through St. Martin's for the at least the short-term housing. And then I want you to include the link to whatever it is, if it's a YouTube video, a TED Talk, could be a scientific article, a magazine article, newspaper article. Just give me the source so I can check it. Policy alternative 2, we have another one here. And this is permanent supported housing. It's an academic policy and practice working paper. 3, Third Door Coalition, and this is in the Urbanist. So it just gives you some examples of things to have. Question 2 is the important one. So you have all of your policy alternatives that you've researched. You have those 3 or 4 sources, and then you are going to create the policy alternative that you would like. So in this case, I'm creating something similar to the There Is a Better Way program. So if it is similar to one of them, put, similar to policy alternative 1, which in this case is here. But it's going to be a bit unique. So I just made up this name. You could make up the name for your policy, get creative, that's fine. Chronic Homeless Outreach Project. You're going to summarize it. In this case, there's 4 different programs. Those are the components or outputs implemented by Imperial County. We're giving the area that it is in California, coordinating with other area organizations, cities, nonprofits, public safety, state organizations, even federal government, though I didn't put that there, and funded by local government, county, and participating cities with state and federal grant support. So this is the type summary I want to see for your project. Very general, but just gives me an idea that you know what type of program you're offering, the limitation on where it is, the types of ways to fund it. So you have different, every one of you will have state and federal grant support, should have this added, because that is just the reality with any sort of public policy program. So then I want you to articulate the policy alternative components. These are the outputs. And similar to the other, you have the day worker program, you have the shelter program, the health services program, and the job skills and placement program. So those are the 4 components or outputs. You don't have to do 4, you can do 2. You can do 1 or more, but I would, try to have at least 2. Don't go too crazy. 4 is plenty, nothing really more than that. It's going to be very difficult to measure in the next assignment. So here you have what entity of government would be responsible, et cetera, et cetera. So here Imperial County would coordinate and implement the policy, working with partnerships with other local government entities, nonprofits, private organizations, blah, blah, blah. This gives me an idea that you understand how something like this might work based on what you've learned in the course so far and from the text. Here's the big important one. What instruments of public policy would be utilized? And I put the list again here. So it's part of the template, just so you have it. These are the 10 instruments of public policy that you should just use one of these as it's written, just to keep it consistent. Can you find different names and vernacular for instruments of public policy? Of course. But for this course, let's use this that you had earlier in the semester. So we're looking what instruments. We have government management. Of course, you have information, education, research, public-private partnership, P3 initiatives, of course, we talked about, and market mechanisms in this case. And you could add subsidies to this as well, because the market mechanism is, in a way, a subsidy to encourage behavior by paying homeless to work rather than panhandle. So question 3, equity challenges. Is your policy alternative choice equitable? Are there any challenges with accessibility or who may or may not benefit? I just want you to think about this. You don't have to get too in depth, 3-4 sentences. go back to module 3, part 2, and see, you know, if anything comes up, and you can see the answer here, you know, related to this, if need be, and have something original. Though if you are doing homelessness or something like it, and I just see cut and paste from what I gave you, obviously you'll be graded down for that. So come up with something original, put it in your own words. Okay, question 4, what might be some challenges with political feasibility, social acceptability, administrative capacity, and liberty legality? Same thing, 3 or 4 sentences, so I know that you understand the concept. And you can look at these. Some of these examples are good and may pertain to your policy alternative that you choose, and how you may ensure adequate transparency while implementing your policy alternative. I'll just give a few examples. So the budget for the program will be accessible to the public on the county website every year, as well as an annual audit. This will include the amount and frequency of all payments to third-party entities as part of the P3 initiatives, et cetera, et cetera. Operational measures, including efficiency and effectiveness metrics, will be posted on the website each year. So I want you to think about it. You know, how would you address it? What type of things should be there? So you can get creative with that. One thing I'm going to say for all of these worksheets, sometimes I get what I call a Frankenstein worksheet, or you know, this is often the case with group projects. So you get Frankenstein assignments where it's obvious one person wrote this, one person wrote that, one person wrote another. Most of you, again, are doing it yourself, so we won't run into this. But for the few groups that we have, make sure that everyone reviews it and has one person kind of put the final version together, so it's continuous and consistent, and the same diligence for each section of the assignment. So we'll close this. And then, you know, here is the actual template. So there's nothing in there. There's just the basic form to use, and use this template, Microsoft Word form, please. It'll open eventually, sorry. The other is just the example, similar to last time. We have the rubric. And then finally, you have the reading quiz 5, chapters 9 and 10. So read the text, then take the reading quiz. And so that is it for this week. We are almost done, and we'll get through this. If you have any questions on your group project, solo project, whichever, if you'd like me to look at it before you hand it in, feel free to email me, but not with the same day that it's due. It would have to be a few days before that. So I will see you next week.